Ladies and gentlemen, we got the RZA in the building. Can you see me and Jasmin?
Yeah, what up? I see you, Jasmin, in the back. I see you, Clear Ty.
No doubt, no doubt. Good to see you.
Respect, family. And good work you're doing. Good work you're doing out there, yo. You know what I mean? I've been watching your podcast. Good work.
Thank you, thank you. And when we get back to the world, not to how it used, not to normal, but to the better world, right, we're gonna have you on.
Guaranteed. You know what I'm saying? I'll pop in.
No doubt. People's Party Live, we have a filmmaker, screenwriter, one of the best producers of all time of any genre, one of the best hip-hop artists to ever do it. We have the RZA, the Abbott, Ruler Zigzag Zig-a-La, Bobby Dynamite, Bobby Digital, you know the names, Bobby Boulders, you know what I'm saying? Everybody throw up. Let me see them Killer Bees in the comments, and let me see them Woo W's in the comments. And we got the motherfucking RZA in the house. And RZA, I'm very excited about this. Thank you. I want to start by saying I'm heavily influenced by the Wu-Tang Clan. I remember back in the day when I was shopping my demo, I was in the elevator at Loud with Raekwon the chef, and he gave me a white Protect Your Neck tape.
Wow.
And that's the first time I ever heard of Wu-Tang. You know what I'm saying? But it was so influential to me that if you look at my promo pictures from back in the days, I got on a Wu-Tang shirt like I'm a member of the Clan.
Oh, respect.
No doubt. And I gotta give a shout out to Sons of Man, because I used to love
Prodigal Son, Killer Priest.
Prodigal Son, Killer Priest.
Shout out to Heaven RZA.
He just dropped a film, a Risen documentary. You can go to Risen. For the people watching, you go to risendocumentary.com, and it documents Heaven RZA's struggle with his brain aneurysm. You know, so sending love out to Heaven RZA. But shout out to Killer Army, Sons of Man. These are people I came in the game with.
You know what's crazy? You know, Heaven RZA, he showed and proved, you know, the power of the mind. He was always an intelligent brother, an intelligent MC. And when he had the brain aneurysm, he was incapacitated, couldn't move, couldn't do nothing. And he fought his way back, you know what I mean? Not just to move and to talk, but even to write some lyrics.
Yes.
I mean, and to put some energy out there. So hats off to him. He's a good brother. And the film is very powerful. So thanks for bigging that up. Risen. Yeah.
No doubt. That's my brother. You self-describe as a Brooklyn baby. You know, people associate Wu-Tang with Shaolin, Staten Island, but you're born in Brownsville, never ran, never will.
Guaranteed.
You know what I'm saying?
Kings County Hospital first, right?
No doubt. I was born in a Brooklyn Jewish hospital. I wasn't in Kings County.
Oh, wow.
My kid's born in downstate, though.
Downstate, yeah. And then, and you know, remember Brookdale Hospital over on Hackerman and Rockaway?
Yes.
Man, I used to be in that. I used to go there with my cousin. We was like fools, you know, you're young, you foolish. We used to just to go in there and try to get nurses candy and run crazy in the halls. One day, the security guard caught us, yo, and they locked us in the morgue.
Damn.
You know what I mean? Yo, left me in there for like 20 minutes, yo. You can see why the grave digger energy ended up coming out of me, right?
Right. That's where the RZA record came from.
Yeah, I was like, yo. But he taught me a lesson. I never play in that hospital again. You know what I mean? I might have been like 10, 11 years old or something back then.
Yeah, we was wild kids. I remember being a kid, you know, speaking of Brooklyn and growing up in Brooklyn with Jizza and Old Dirty, rest in peace to Asan Unique. You know, I remember being a kid and reading the Daily News when 2 kids snuck into the Brooklyn Zoo and got ate up by some polar bears.
Yeah.
Oh, remember that?
Yeah, I remember that. And, I mean... No, the times was wild back then. I mean, I think by the time, you know, from my experience, by the time, you know, I was 13 years old, I went to a school called 275. That's on Rockaway and Heckman. You know what I mean? That school was crazy. It was like a lot of warriors went there, you know what I mean? And it was like, by the time we was 13 in the 8th grade, me and my man Born Scientific, the guard Kim, a lot of brothers from off of Amboy, you know what I mean, all went to this school. But by the time we was 13, we was men, you know what I mean? And we had to be. And we was in the middle of so many things that we look at our children now, you know what I mean? It's a blessing that they get a longer childhood. One thing I try to tell my seeds is like, the shortest part of your life is your childhood. It's the shortest part, yo. You know what I mean? So enjoy it. You know, don't rush out of it. Don't rush through it. You know what I
No
mean?
doubt.
You got the rest of your life to be an adult and to deal with all the problems, good, bad, and ugly, that we deal with as adults. As a
No
youth,
doubt.
enjoy that childhood as long as you can, yo.
Word is bond. You know, I'm proud to be from Brooklyn, to represent like you and Jizza and ODB. Y'all make us proud to be from Brooklyn, bro. And the best MCs come from Brooklyn. I feel like that. But shout out to all my party and Stapleton people too. You know what I'm saying? Thank you for having the battle with Premier.
Well, we're gonna let you speak on it. I mean,
Yeah,
I didn't call it a battle. You know what I mean?
I was gonna address that.
Okay,
Because you wasn't battling.
Nah, you know, we were celebrating. You know what I mean?
Right.
You know, when Swiss reached out to me, and he reached out to me, he reached out separately, but the beautiful thing was he was like, yo, I got this thing I'm doing, and I'm bringing people together. It's called Versus. You know, the people are going to take it as they take it. You know, they're going to call it a battle or versus whatever. But you know, he was like, this is for our culture to celebrate. You know what I mean? To come together and to play our music on this platform that him and Timberland created. And I'm pretty into the movies. You know what I'm doing every day. I'm just writing scripts and editing and you know, just really deep into this chamber over here. But the idea to share some time with Premier and to share with the hip hop community, you know what I mean, in the middle of being home, you know what I mean, I was like, you know what, why not? And we did it, you know what I mean. And I'm glad that I didn't know what to expect, to be honest. I didn't, you know, so even me doing this now with you is a result of me doing that, understanding that we could communicate this way.
Yeah,
man. I didn't know I could communicate like that because I'm an isolated individual. You know, I've always been that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you said that when you came on. You was like, I noticed that you wasn't paying attention to the number of songs we was at. He was like, I'm not really battling here.
Yeah.
And you said on the new album, I want to talk about the meditation joint that you did with Tazo T. But you said something on it that struck me. You was like, competition can stagnate you if you focus too much on it.
Yeah.
And it's not about competition in that, because when you compete and when you try to be the winner, somebody gotta lose. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So it's more about the celebration.
Exactly. And I think we did. I think it was a great celebration. You know what I mean? And it resonated. You know, I had a chance to talk to a few people in the press afterwards and whatever. And even my peers, I got people that work with me, you know what I mean? Like, you know, that's in my writer's room or executives. And they all called me and they was like, yo, I had a great time.
Yo, bro, you
on
gave
Saturday,
you
know what I mean?
Back to us. You brought the world back to us, bro. Like,
bro,
everybody was in that room. Like, the whole, not just the industry. I'm talking about, like, Conway. Shout out to Conway the Machine. He said something. He was like, yo, if you wasn't there, if you wasn't outside in the 90s, you have no right to judge this battle. You know what I'm saying? I felt that. One of the greatest moments for me was when you played Wu-Tang Clan Ain't Nothing to Fuck With, and them kids jumped in the frame with you. That was hip-hop history. Wu-Tang for the children.
Wu-Tang for the children, baby.
No doubt, that was dope.
You know, the funny thing is, you know, when Wu-Tang was, you know, first developing and coming through, we came through on some samurai, you know, kung fu showdown. You know what I mean? And when you're in that phase of mind, you actually miss a lot of what's happening around you.
That's,
you know what I mean?
Okay.
Because it's all about yourself. You know what I mean? And it took me. It was good for us though, because it built us, it motivated us, and it allowed us to put our footprints in the cement. You know what I mean? But then I had to go backwards, yo, and rekindle all the things that was happening while I was happening.
Right.
You see what I mean? And I realized there was so many beautiful things happening. You know what I mean? So when I go back to UPROXX Records and you and what you and Mos Def was doing, you know what I mean? Going back to what Dilla was doing, you know what I mean? Going back to the West, what Melman and Dre was doing. This all these different things that was happening. You know what I mean? I wasn't paying attention because I'm just chopping through with a sword. You know what I mean? So it's a blessing in one way because you got to chop through. But as a wise man, I would advise, you know, a young man who's coming into the game to be like, yo, at the end of the day, focus on your target, but don't skip your peripherals.
Okay.
All right? You know what I mean? Look left and look right. You know what I'm saying? See what's coming beside you as well. You know what I mean? And what happens at the end of the day, Ty, is that we all realize that we are a community.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like sometimes you don't know your neighbor, right?
Right.
Living right next door to you could be a
Right.
scientist, and you may not even know that. But if you get to
Right.
know your neighbor, then you get to see
Right.
all the elements that we all bring together to make this community. And last weekend was a great example of a hip hop community.
No doubt. Shout out to DJ Premier. That's my twin. You know, I got a chance to be on the new Gangstar album. You did a thing during the board. Let me just say for my man B Sausage, because my man B Sausage, I grew up with him. He said to me over a year ago, "Yo, I think RZA should battle Premier."
Wow.
Right? And so this was like his dream came true.
Right.
So for him, I got to mention, I feel like you would have gave Premier, if it was a battle, you would have given him a run for the money if you had played Cream, Triumph, and Wu-Tang and Nothing to Fuck With in the first 20. You played those after.
Right.
But sometimes the fans' favorite different from your favorites?
Well, maybe. Like, I actually don't measure, like, I don't really measure myself like that from, like, what somebody like or what I like. You know what I mean? I just do. You know what I mean? It's just like, me and you did a song together on the Afro Samurai soundtrack, right?
Yeah, thank you for that too. Thank you for having me.
But that's a hard track. To me, if I'm DJing the party, I'm gonna play that. I don't care if you know it or you don't know it. You know what I mean? So that's, to me, music is something that you share. You know what I mean? And so I don't really try to judge my music or discriminate my music in all reality. You know what I mean? I kind of like, I just create it, you know, and it's for, I create sometimes first for myself, for my own consumption, and just for the joy of creativity, right? And then sometimes I create for the people to consume. But I know that some people was like, I may cook, right? I may cook some vegan food, yo. You might not like that, yo. You know what I mean? But I know that it's healthy.
Yeah.
I know that it's going to be good, and you might not eat that. You might come back around. You know, it's like, I know brothers that 5 years later, they like, yo, yeah, I'm trying to be vegan or trying to be vegetarian. It's like, yo, yeah, whatever, bro. It's all good. It's up to you. You know what I mean? That's how I feel about music. So when you think about songs like 260, you know what I mean? Rainy Days, you know what I mean? It's like, those songs to me is just as important and it's just as creative as Wu-Tang Clan and Nothing to Fuck With.
Right. And it's important for you, the creator, to showcase that, I think, as well.
Yeah.
You mentioned being vegan. Go ahead, Jazz. I'm sorry.
Oh, I said, were there some RZA beats that you're in love with that people sleep on that you wish you would have played?
No. The only funny thing about it, right? Let me just say this though. Look, I got a whole crew now. So when you interview one of my crew members, you may hear all types of, like, why he didn't throw that? Why the guard didn't do this? And the guard should have just threw blood. Like, you know what I mean?
Like Fourth Chamber.
No way. Somebody said that. I was talking to the Jizza 2 nights ago. And he was like, yo, you didn't even let Fourth Chamber out the clip. I was like, oh yeah, I wouldn't, you know.
Yeah, that was a fan favorite. People was mentioning that one in the comments.
Oh, word?
Yeah.
That's funny.
Now, but talk to me about being vegan and break down the difference for people who don't know between being vegetarian and vegan, and then explain why, especially now with this global pandemic, we have to be more on our health.
Well, if you could be a vegetarian, you know, that's you know, a great step. And I don't think you even need to go further than that, right? As far as your own personal health, right? So a vegetarian is someone who don't eat red meat, don't eat fish, chicken. In fact, in the vegetarian diet, they may include eggs, they may include butter and milk in the vegetarian diet. In a vegan diet, there's no butter, there's no milk, there's no eggs. You know what I mean? And in fact, a vegan actually strives not to even use animal products in the sense of
plant-based.
Yeah, not just plant-based. He'll try not to even buy leather shoes. He'll try not to buy animal skin clothing. You know, he'll strive his best to stay away from something that's leading to the death, the cruelty, and the misuse of animals. You know what I mean? So to me, I started off as a person who first stopped eating red meat. well, first pork, right? First pork, got knowledge of myself and was like, no pork. You had to fast for 3 days and not eat pork. And that's back on my, my mom, my grandma, they had pork chops, neck bones, and beans, what I mean? So,
right.
So I went many nights not eating as a teenager because that was a sacrifice, what I mean? Bacon and all that was, they didn't have turkey bacon yet, what I mean?
Right.
So, but then when then I went, as I got more knowledge of myself and I was trying to purify my body, mind, and spirit, I realized that eating red meat was unhealthy. I think I read somewhere that said the average American walks around with, 20 pounds of undigested meat in his body. Like, I'm like, how can you have undigested meat in your body? It's like that stuff just sits in your intestines, what I mean? And just, build up. You see people walk around with them bellies they can't even get rid of. And they be 35 with it. I can see when you're 60 maybe, but anyway, so I killed the red meat, what I mean, based on the poison of it and everything. But then I went on just to realize that no dead product really needs to enter my live body. At the end of the day, if you look at the natural way of things, people go, yo, we was cavemen. We wasn't no cavemen. All right. So I'm saying we don't got to say we come from no caveman culture.
That's right.
And if you came from a caveman culture, you better get on the boat of the guys who got out the cave. Right.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So, but bottom line is that what we put into our body, the earth provides for us, and then what we excrete from our body provides back for the earth. That's right. It's just like when we breathe in air, right? And we breathe out carbon dioxide. The plants take in the carbon dioxide and give us back fresh air. Okay,
right.
That's
God right there.
Yeah, it's a universal system that the Most High designed mathematically correct. So for all the scientists, I know, because I'm a scientist myself, to be honest. You know what I mean? We know from studying science that these things are mathematically correct. You know what I mean? And since it's mathematically correct, the problem that man has is when he makes an error in his calculation. Okay, and the error in your calculation could be just as simple as taking that dead flesh and putting it into your live body and not thinking some type of pathogen ain't gonna make a move on you.
That's right.
You know what I mean? So that led to my vegetarianism, and then as I got deeper into it, I kind of, the eggs just disturbed me. You know what I mean? Didn't want to, put that into my body. And then the milk, which is, milk is really not healthy for original people anyway. It builds up too much mucus in our bodies. And we got to also understand that some of our diets, right? Like, so it is true that our Asian brothers, our Caucasian brothers, our Native American brothers, as we classify each other through our genome or through our ethnics, that there are certain things in our diets that's better for us. You know what I mean? Right. And so we got to realize that it's just like how certain grains are good for horses, certain grains are good for cows, certain grains are good for pigs, certain things are good for rabbits. It's like it's all a bountiful amount of things that's good for people. So we got to realize sometimes we're finding ourselves eating somebody else's diet. Right. You know what I mean? And then we look at obesity in our community. You know what I mean? Look at our blood pressure in our community, how diabetes.
Poor people are more likely to be obese. And, and people assume that obesity, being fat, means you're rich. Nah, it means you have a bad diet.
Exactly. How you going to be poor and fat, right? Because what you eat. Yo, you know what's something that bugged me? I wrote a song when I was doing my album called The Cure. I never released this album, right?
I was going to ask about The Cure, too.
Yeah, but
you was too busy being Bobby Digital at the time.
I know, right? I was kind of zoned out. But I could say this to you. I wrote a song called Penny Candy. Right? And in the song, I was just describing by the high fructose and the glucose. You know what I mean? And all the things we was consuming as a kid. You know what I mean? Because as a kid, you'll go to school, you'll stop at the store, at the bus stop, you'll take your 25 cents, you get a pack of Now-Laters, some big bowls, some Laffy Taffy or whatever.
Water,
right?
Quarter water and a grenade.
Yeah, the quarter water grenade, right? Or quarter Sundew juice. Then you get on, then you go to school. Now, why is that kid acting crazy in class, man? Because he has a sugar rush.
Right.
Okay? And then eventually he has diabetes, bad denture, and all the things that the excessiveness of poison sugar does to a body. You know what I mean?
No doubt.
And we don't pay attention to that. So I wrote a song about it just so I could remember it. Now I never put the song out, but since I wrote the song and wrote the lyrics, it helped me to guide my children away from staying away from candy and staying away from things that would, you know, the abuse and the abundance of that stuff that poison their body.
Yeah. Shout out to all the vegans in the house commenting in the comments. Go ahead, Jack.
Speaking of veganism and vegetarianism, so since this pandemic is going on, are there certain things that you have added to your diet to, like, you know, strengthen your immune system?
Yeah, I kind of, you know, first of all, I got a very good wife that, you know, her home economics. Remember in school we had home economics, right? I think that's gone. But her home economics is great. So she got, you know, she makes the fresh beet juice. You know what I mean? We got of course, the turmeric, the cumin. Look, I got the black seed oil. I got the turmeric
right here.
Exactly. So.
All right, see you, Talib.
Yeah, yo. I got this one formula. I'm gonna get it for you. Hold
on. Shout out to CJ Fly in the house, Pro Era in the house. You know, ginger and turmeric. Yeah, this is ginger and turmeric tea that I'm drinking right now. Yes, indeed.
Cinnamon too, Talib. My cousin just told me cinnamon sticks. Add that in there.
Okay, I don't have any. I gotta get some.
Yo, get this one, bro. The ginger. Could you read that? Ginger, turmeric, honey bomb.
Okay.
Yeah. Put that in the tea. Bong. All right.
Okay. Bong.
Yeah. And then, and I also use this one here. Have you seen this one yet?
Nah.
So this is a turmeric moringa, right? So, you know, you put it in maybe some coconut milk, maybe, or whatever. And yo, it's all herbs. It's grinded with cumin. Of course, the turmeric is in it, but it's grinded, so you could just either put it in your tea, I mean, or you could just take it like my wife does. She's kind of used the coconut milk and she makes a little latte out of it, and boom, that's what it be.
Okay.
So anyway,
now I want to talk to you about one more thing before we get off this battle. You said in the battle, you took the time to shout out the Asian community. And you took the time to speak on the discrimination that the Asian community is experiencing right now with this coronavirus. Donald Trump calling it the Chinese virus and all that. We've seen hate crimes. Why did you feel the need, beyond the obvious of Wu-Tang being associated with Chinese culture, Asian culture, to shout out the Asian community?
No, because I'm seeing it. You know what I mean? It's like, you know, that it pops up on my thread when I'm going through the news. You know what I mean? And one thing, you know, us as Black Americans, you know, we gotta, you know, you know what, as Americans, you know what I mean, we gotta, like, I may take a different approach on this, Talib, because I watch you, I understand how you, you know, I'll be watching your battles on Twitter and all that, right? But
no doubt,
I think one of the problems we have, and I'm just gonna say this, you know, what I'm saying, I'm not too political, but I'm gonna say this is a political and a spiritual problem, right? Is we separate ourselves into subgroups in this country. Black American, Asian American, Latin American, white American, Native American. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, remove the word in front of it, bro. And we're just Americans. And what makes us Americans, yo, we are all living a very unique experience. Me and you, we travel the world, right? And even if you buy a bag of Lay's in Europe, it don't taste like the American Lay's.
Right.
The Kit Kat don't taste like the Kit Kat.
Different farms and all that.
It's all different, bro. Point being made, we're living a unique experience here in America. You know what I mean? I remember Malcolm X when he said that we're not American. You know, we're the victims of America. And during that period of time, he was right. You know what I mean? And that victimization, though, through a couple of generations and knowledge of self, some of us are out of that. And by some of us being out of that, we lead our people out of that. You know what I mean? And I think if you look at it nowadays, based on all the input we put into the country, based on all the sacrifice, all our fathers and uncles who all went to war, from all walks, yo. When I go to Disneyland, brother, seriously, bro, when I go to Disneyland, and if I run into a soldier, I gotta salute him, because we got Disneyland based on the things that other people sacrifice their lives for. You see what I mean? We got the purity of what this country offers us every day, where you can walk into a store and pick anything, right? So
yeah, you're dealing with American privilege.
yeah, well, if you take that, right, and you take that American privilege and the fact that, you know, like when I was in Africa, you know, people don't got tissue, bro.
Right.
Some people got they going inside a hole. Even in China, I've been in
Yeah.
hotels that you still had to stand.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? So point being made is that this American experience is dealing with a population of about 330 million people. Okay?
Yeah.
You take that 330 million people and you divide it into the rest of the 8 billion people in the world, you're nothing. We're a fraction. Right. And then if we subdivide ourselves again into Black American, Latin American, that fraction gets smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. And it gives any outside force the power to dominate and to conquer us. Right?
Well, you've always been about power in numbers.
Yeah, we got to unify. Yeah. So I'm into that unity. When I think of, you know, the father, right? The father, Father Clarence 13X Smith, I read one of his articles, yo. And he said this, yo. he said, if you're not willing to fight for your country, you don't belong in your country, right? And he said that because he was a man who went to the Korean War, and he fought for the country. And when he came back now, it's like he always agreed that the country should take care of its people, of course, right? But he also agreed that that problem is a problem at home, not a problem abroad. So if you got an alcoholic uncle, that's for in your house. You don't go out there and put your uncle on blast, you know, put your family on blast outside your family. Right. And so I'm just saying, in the family sense, right, we gotta stop subdividing ourselves, because the rest of the world don't subdivide us, bro. When Bush was president, man, I think I ran into you in Europe around that time. But remember when Bush was president, right? If you was in France and you went to a restaurant, they wouldn't even hook you up. They treated us like, you know what I mean? They was like, he's an American. So they were shunning us. When Obama was president, they was giving us big ups because Obama had that image and energy that made the world come together. And now that President Trump is back as president, when I was in London, people was like disrespecting my president, disrespecting the country based on our decision. You know what I mean? Right. But they still put me in the classification of American.
Right.
Yeah, in China right now, there's a lot of discrimination against Africans, and they even have signs up in McDonald's that's pretty much saying no Africans allowed. And I think that you just pretty much explained why we don't need to be self-dividing, and how this pandemic is reminding us that we're all a part of the same human family, because this can affect anybody.
Yeah, I mean, in China, yeah, my wife brought that to me the other day. They first of all, that's hypocritical, right? Because look, we don't want to discriminate the Asian brothers, and we don't want them discriminating us either.
That's right.
Because at the end of the day, our Asian brothers in China, when they go back and they look at some of their culture and some of the beautiful things, right? It took also outside influence. You know, Bodhidharma, Buddha, if they was genetically classified as a person, they'd be called Negroid.
Right.
Right? As far as the, you know, they use the Mongoloid, Caucasoid, Negroid as a three classification of men. Well, a lot of the men that helped build the civilization and inspire the civilization was considerably Negroid. So there's no need to discriminate or push them away. You know, but what's happening is that now in America, they're saying that most of us are the ones that's catching the disease or dying from the disease.
Right, and that's from systemic oppression, or years and years of us not having good hospitals, good food, good healthcare. So obviously the population that's disproportionately oppressed is going to be the population that deals with the disease the most.
Exactly.
That's just math.
Just math, simple math.
Speaking of China and Chinese culture, Wu-Tang is obviously known for the love of Kung Fu movies. As you see, I got Wu-Tang versus Shaolin, or Shaolin versus Wu-Tang on in the back. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Can you give us...
He about to kill his sister right there. I mean, that's one of my favorite
doubt,
scenes.
right there. Can you give us the essential top 5 of the essential Kung Fu movies, karate movies that any Wu-Tang fan has to own?
Well, that's a hard question, but let me just try to give you a good top 5. Well, Shaolin versus Wu-Tang, you gotta have that. You gotta have 36 Chambers of Shaolin, right? AKA Master Killer. You gotta have your 5 Deadly Venoms. All right. I would throw in there your 8 Diagram Pole Fighter. I'll throw that one in there, right? And then I guess number 5, I think you gotta have, since you know one of our members, Ugard, took the name for himself, you gotta have the Kid with the Golden Arm.
Kid with the Golden Arms.
Yeah, I love that one right there.
No doubt. No doubt. Shout out to you, God. He was telling me classic Wu stories. Last time I seen you in Dubai, I sat up with you, God, and Yasin Bey and DJ Clark Kent just for like 2 hours telling stories until like 5 in the morning. You know what I'm saying?
I wish I would have came out that night.
No doubt. I should have hit you up. Jasmin, you had a question?
Yeah, so in the Wu, I was doing Kung Fu back here. Wu-Tang American Saga, they highlight your connection to chess and seeing the next chess move. Do you remember the day that you connected with the game?
Yeah, it's kind of, I probably shouldn't share that story right here.
It's grimy?
Well, to simplify it,
Let me hear it.
The same person that took my virginity taught me how to play chess.
Ah.
Yes!
Yeah, I was taught by a young lady. We both was probably too young.
No doubt. No doubt. Okay. In 2014, Matt Daniels at The Pudding posted a scientifically researched list of the best rappers based on the grasp of vocabulary, unique words. It was a quantitative view of lyrics proposed by creative technologists to hear Hemp Hill. The top category of the study, Wu-Tang, I was in it. I was near the top, but Wu-Tang dominated the top. Inspector Deck, you, Meth, Ghost, Ray. Obviously, y'all were fiercely competitive with each other. But are you aware of this chart?
Yeah, I've seen it. I've seen this chart. Yeah.
Okay.
I thought it was really cool.
No
I mean, you know, it said like the most unique words. You know, we are those type of lyricists as yourself, that the word, the vocabulary of what we say, the usage of the word is vital and it's important. You know what I mean? You know, you go back to which one? I did a song with the Gravediggers, where I said the pre-existence of the mathematical biochemical equation is the manifestation of rock, plant, air, fire, and water, which are in this basic formation, solid, liquid, and gases that cause the land masses and the space catalyst and all the matter that exists in this dense third dimension. It must be observed by physical comprehension, so it takes a nerve to be struck. Wisdom is the wise word spoken to wake up the dumb man who's been sleeping.
God damn.
Yeah, so
yeah. No doubt.
That, you know.
Those are some unique words, brother. You said biochemical equation. You have a song called Biochemical Equation.
Yeah.
Where you break some of that down more. That's where I get the whole thing about the distractions and the stagnant and all that.
Right.
Talk to me. You referenced the father. You referenced 5% philosophy. But for people who don't know about the influence of 5% philosophy, ideals, culture on New York City hip hop, and particularly for poor people in housing projects, and particularly when you watch the Wu-Tang American Saga, you see how Just Ice stepped to you. You see how the gods were stepping to you, and you might have caught that universal beatdown. Yeah, you know, it was referenced in the show, but they didn't really show like what that really was. It was like Bobby was cognizant of it. The Jizzle was telling him, you got to know your lessons. Can you break down the influence of the 5% in the housing projects, in the poor neighborhoods in New York City, and how it influenced hip hop and yourself? Well,
look, first of all, it was knowledge of self being brought to the youth. Normally, the knowledge was, you know, kept inside synagogues, kept inside churches, kept inside the temple. You know, you think about the Nation of Islam and the brother Malcolm X up in temple number 7. In order to get the information, you have to go to the temple. In order to get the 120, you had to be a minister, maybe. You know what I mean? You couldn't just get that, have access to that. The father was a man who took out the studies from the temple. Okay, he looked upon the Bible and the Quran. You know what I mean? There were 120 lessons, and then he gave us a formula called mathematics, right? In mathematics, we call it living mathematics, meaning a course of action that you should follow through thought process and through physical process. And the first thing, of course, is knowledge. People like this do wisdom first. Wisdom is to speak. It's the experience of your knowledge. But knowledge means to know, to look, listen, observe, and respect. Now, when these lessons were circulating in New York City, and I'm a second generation, so I can't speak on the first generation. You know, you'd have to get brothers, you know, to speak on that. But from a second generation, I got knowledge in 1981. You know what I mean?
Right. I thought it was interesting in the show. It talked about how the music helped bring y'all to that.
Yeah, yeah. But let me add on. Let me add this to you. When I got knowledge, it was a discipline to it. You couldn't say your name was Rakim and not explain your name and not know today's mathematics. And that discipline, it made brothers study. And if you didn't know, you know, there was physical repercussions, yo. A universal beatdown. I mean, in those days, you'll hold a cipher and a brother asks you your lessons. If you don't know it, look, you may go home that day. Because, you know, it wasn't like this was, you know, you can go home that day. You don't know it the next day? Nah. You know what I mean? Right. That's the problem. You know what I mean? Yeah, and discipline is important. You know what I mean? Remember, we come from this, you know, I'm older than you. When I was in school, when I went down south to live with my Uncle Hollis and I went to school there, if you got bad in class, they pulled out a paddle, yo, and they disciplined you. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, yeah, so no, but discipline is important. In the book of Proverbs, it says, if you spare your son or daughter the rod, later on in life, it's going to work backwards against you because they won't be able to do the knowledge, to make the right decisions, to conform when wisdom comes to them. They'll be stiff-necked, stubborn towards it. You see what I mean? Because they'll become spoiled to it. So, so the mathematics, you know, was taught with a discipline to it. But let me just share one part of the mathematics that I continue to share in any capacity, which is the lesson is called the 12 jewels. The 12 jewels of life is called. And it's knowledge, wisdom, understanding, freedom, justice, equality, food, clothing, shelter, love, peace, and happiness. These 12 jewels are more valuable than diamonds, gold, oil, or anything, because these are what man, woman, and child should strive for. He should strive for knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. He should always strive for freedom. But freedom must operate under a law of what? Justice. Because I'm free to smack a man in the face, but now justice comes in, and that's the reward or penalty for my action. Therefore,
every action has a consequence.
Exactly. Right. So it keeps us all at equality. You see what I mean? Because I deal equal with you, you deal equal to me. Like Jesus said, do unto your neighbors as you have your neighbors do unto you. And then after you got those type of things in your life, because those are mental, psychological type of energies, right? Then of course a man needs his food, but food, not just food for nourishment, but food, spiritual food from the tree of life, food of knowledge. Okay? Yeah. Of course, a man needs his clothing, but not just clothing to protect himself from the atmosphere, but clothing like a cloak of righteousness. You know what I mean? No doubt. And of course, a man needs shelter, and not just to stop him from the weather, but sometimes you got to have that shelter, that place where you go into to protect your spirit. That's where meditation come in. So that's food, clothing, and shelter. But then after that, of course, there's love. But what is love, right, which is the highest elevation? What is love without peace? If you're in love with someone and y'all in the same house, but y'all ain't at peace, brother, you know what I mean? Peace is the absence. Peace is an absence of confusion.
That's right.
You at peace, you ain't confused no more. You at peace, all right? And what's love and peace without happiness? And you know what happiness is defined in our lessons? Our lessons define happiness as the total, complete satisfaction with yourself. Wow. Nobody could take it from you. Nobody could give it to you. Nothing should be able to make you unhappy once you realize that happiness is the total, complete satisfaction of yourself.
Facts. Somebody said facts, God. I see bong bong. Shout out to Bad Lungs who said positive education, always correct errors. Peace. I learned that from the guys back in the day. You know, speaking of peace, with the show again, a lot of people got to see how Wu-Tang started as essentially enemies. You had Power versus Divine. You had Ghost versus Ray. You had Ghost versus the World. You know what I'm saying? Like you seem to have the vision of bringing the enemies together, even when, according to the story, like even when the enemies wasn't ready to come together, you like, nah, for the power of the whole, we got to put aside the differences and figure out a way to build with each other. What gave you the vision to be like, to know that was going to work?
Well, I ain't gonna give no spoilers. We're actually in the middle of writing season 2, right? And so the thing about when you do a TV show, you know, and you gotta dramatize and take time, and you gotta squeeze it, right? So one thing that I will point out about the show that maybe the average viewer will never be able to detect. You notice in the show, I'm called Bobby, Jizzle's called Gary. You know what I mean? Nobody at that age, we didn't call him Gary. His name was Justice already. But we couldn't give you the whole history in 10 episodes because we're talking about years of information. So we had to condense the information down to a season. And so within the season, you get to see, by episode 3, you see Gary say, no, my name is Allah Justice. But for the audience, if they wouldn't know, if we would have met him as Allah Justice, we're like, who is that? What is that? He wouldn't understood how to get there. You know what I mean? So that's the beauty and the challenge of making dramatization of TV, right? But so now for season 2, right, we still, you know, have a lot of information that has to be condensed. But to answer the question you just said, how, you know, what's the motivating idea to bring the unity, not just to the Wu-Tang members, but to the community, right? You know, Staten Island was a very racially divided borough. It's probably one of the last, like, you know what I mean? And by the time Wu made his exposure and we grew, you know what I mean, that racial division, you know, had started to basically kind of started to evaporate. It's not totally gone, but it reduced tremendously. For instance, if you watch the Wu documentary and Cap was telling you how we couldn't go past a certain bridge, you know, it was like, go home, nigga, and all that type of energy was there. Yeah. That was called Rosebank. You know what I mean? And there was marches out there. But would you believe, during the filming of Wu-Tang: An American Saga, I took me, my partner Alex C, and a few other people from our, Alex C is an Asian brother, a few other people from our cast, and we went to Rosebank, and we went to a bar, and they bought us drinks. It was community. Everybody was happy. It was music. It was black people doing music, white people doing music. And the point being made is that, you know, bringing together us is one thing, but bringing together the entire community, to me, was a total goal of the musical movement. And in season 2, we'll watch some of that unfold. All right, forgive me as I'm trying to get my camera up. Get my shit together. I got it. Go ahead, John.
In the also on the show, it shows that you were acquitted for murder for an incident with someone who robbed your house. I heard you describe it as you getting a second chance in life. How did that change how you lived and operated after the case?
Yeah, once again, no spoiler alerts. But we're looking, you know, first of all, look, just be like, forget the show. Let's just talk about real life. A lot of us do not go to trial and come home. I mean, a lot of us are in jail that didn't even commit the crime. You know, the criminal justice system has been criminal to us. You know what I mean, seriously, You know, we as Black men and women, more than any other group of people, you know, in our country, has got the worst hand dealt when it comes to that system. And if any one of us get a chance to overcome, man, we got to take our hat and cheer. And I was blessed, you know what I mean? I was blessed with the right group of people supporting me, the right lawyer who understood, you know, who was able to look me in my eyes and see what kind of man I was. Because also a lawyer can look at you sometime and know that, yo, you are a problem. Whatever the problem is, you're going to be more of a problem, because for some of us, it could be something happened in our house, you know, whether it was whether incest, drugs, alcoholism, you know what I mean, bullyism, you know what I mean, the pressure of poverty, the pressure of holes in your sneakers, the pressure of changing pants with your brother when you go to school, you know what I mean, the pressure of, like in my house, it was welfare cheese, bro, and we balled the bread. All right.
The grits.
Yeah, the grits for dinner. Big pot.
Right.
You know what I mean? Real life, right? That pressure, you know, like Ghost said in the documentary, which I was happy that he said it out loud, because he didn't even share that with us. He said, you know, he was young, he may have been depressed, yo.
Yeah, I remember that.
And I was like, wow, because then I go back and I think about, you know, man, because man, we know 14 years old, we walking around Stapleton together. And at one moment, we thinking of, yo, do we throw a brick? Go to Canal Street and throw a brick through the window and grab the gold chains? But yet that same individual will go to the store, spend his last $2 and get a sandwich and give you half.
Right.
So the environment made us be who we are, right? Make people be who they are. But then when we face the system, though, the system is just looking at us as a name on a paper with a number to a crime and a face that 10 other dudes was here last week with the same problem and the same thing. And so we just thrown in. And then the lawyer is looking at it the same way. He's just looking at it like, oh, yeah, this is he's just another one.
Right.
I mean, when you talk about 3 million people, you know, locked up, as they say, and out of these 3 million, we were dominating the population, or our Latin brothers dominating our population. You know, one thing also about the Latin brothers, man, that I really feel sad for our Latin brothers, bro. I gotta say this to you, because, you know, back east, I got a home in the woods, you know, where, you know, I kind of, my little bat cave. But the nearest neighborhood to me is called Freehold. And sometimes I got to go to court for whatever reason, whether it's a traffic violation, whatever. And when I go in there, bro, and I see how they doing those Mexican brothers in there, bro, first of all, they're hitting them with tickets they could never pay. So now you can't pay the ticket, so now they're going to take your car. Now you can't take the car, and you can't work, and half of your, and you might not have your right papers. You know what I mean? Yeah. They do. So whereas we may have some, it's still bad for us, but we may have a better chance because we got black brothers who study, they're lawyers. We got enough people of us who, there's a, you know, you can find 1 million of us that rise above it, right? And with them, the numbers that rise above it is going to be less. You see what I'm saying? And then that'll trickle down to even other communities. But I just want to say that the criminal justice system has been very injustice to a lot of its population, especially the black population. So when I had the chance to you know, come out on the better side of that, my mother saw that, she witnessed that. She just gave me that mother look, yo, like, yo, don't you ever. And it pierced me right down to my soul. And I turned
like a mother would do.
Yeah, like a mother would do. And I took that mother advice, yo, and I just walked straight as I can. And she was right. Because in the Holy Bible, it tells you for every negative action you do, we're going to give you a negative action in return. But for every positive action, we're going to multiply you by 10.
No doubt. No doubt. Now, one thing I took away from the Wu, that I learned from the Wu, again, Raekwon gave me that tape. Y'all had the yellow tapes. Then when Cuban Links came out, they had it's a purple tape. You know, I've heard you talk about being inspired by the red tops and the blue tops. And you talk to us about, you know what I'm saying, about how street hustling informs a lot of us in the music business who come from these neighborhoods. And just what lessons you learn from being in that situation of necessity.
Yeah, because look, at the end of the day, right, I don't condone crime. I just wanted to say that first and foremost, right? No, I teach my children to be law-abiding citizens. But when you are in a desperate situation, right, you're going to find a way to put food on your table. A lot of us are natural entrepreneurs. You know what I mean? And so if you go back, when we was in the pharmaceutical business, right, it's basically pharmaceutical.
Right.
Right.
And you see with the cannabis, I just ordered some weed tea.
Yeah.
I didn't realize you could order weed. I ordered a bunch of weed tea and some other shit. And I'm like, man, a lot of brothers is in jail for the same shit.
Yeah, I was locked up for selling weed, bro. Okay, I was locked up for that. And it was a chase down. So it's like they chased me, caught me. You know, when you run, that's some physical beat down there. You know what I mean? They want you to freeze. I'm like, yo, I'm out of here.
Run. Might have to take my shirt off for this one.
I was gone, yo. But they had the whole perimeter blocked off. So they caught me on some, you know what I mean? Caught me by surprise. But point being made, at the end of the day, what was I doing? I was selling weed, right, which is a pharmaceutical, you know what I mean, to a customer. And I was selling to people on Wall Street, bro. Okay? White boys on Wall Street would come down for lunch, buy the weed, go back up and make deals. You know what I mean? And that was criminalized. So, but what I did learn, I learned to get up early in the morning, you know what I mean, to pack my product and to go and put my product where it belongs, to take my economics, to put a portion to the side, to put a portion to get more product, you know what I mean, to eventually bring in more people to help move the product, you know what I mean? So it's basically entrepreneurship, you know what I mean? And it was all done for marijuana. Now, that same marijuana trade that I was doing in Wall Street, right, still exists. But the people who created it are not part of it anymore.
Exactly right.
You know what I mean? So, and that's the sad part about it, is that we create the entrepreneurship, you know what I mean? But we sometimes get ignored. But I learned a lot from dealing in the streets and learning from, you know, just first to be straight with you, Talib. I didn't just sell marijuana. I sold T-shirts, socks, apples, oranges, okay?
Right.
When Staten Island was having Gucci suits, the Dapper Dan suits, I was the guy that was selling them. I had
it was Dapper plug.
Yeah, I had a plug with Shabazz Brothers, right?
Okay.
Because Dapper Dan was the father, but once he made it uptown, the other brothers uptown started figuring out how to do it. And I had Melquan and Shabazz, and they had like the Shabazz Brother clothing line. And they was making, and Brother Barry, they was making Gucci suits. I'll bring them to Staten Island, you know what I mean? Sell them off for $150, $200, whatever. Fur coats,
no doubt,
whatever. I was doing all that. So it was just being an entrepreneur.
No doubt. No doubt. Shout out to Beverly Bond. She just joined the room. You know what I'm saying? I started my career with her. I want to thank you for giving me the track Rocket Ships that you did on my album. Shout out to Busta Rhymes. He's on that. You know, talking about your work, you talk about you do film work, right? You and Quentin Tarantino linked up, gave us some beautiful work. Y'all luminaries in the game. You did The Man with the Iron Fist with Eli Roth. I call Eli Roth the Bear Jew.
The Bear Jew.
The Bear Jew with the baseball bat.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You had
Inglourious Basterds.
Dave Bautista in that movie.
Yeah.
He was known as a wrestler, but people wasn't really checking for him as an actor. You saw him early, I think.
I saw him early.
Talk to me about the process of working with Tarantino and Eli Roth and them, and coming up with the concept of Man with the Iron Fist.
Well, I had a chance, you know, to meet Quentin when he was doing promotion for a movie called Iron Monkey. I think his company had bought the American rights, him and the Miramax, and they brought Donnie Yen over to help promote it. And it was like a boy fest with me, Quentin, and Donnie Yen talking about movies. And me and Quentin ended up becoming friends after that. and we would just watch kung fu movies together. You know, he was like, invite me to his crib. He would screen them. He had a movie theater in his crib, yo. So, you know what I mean? So we'd go watch films, or Miramax would loan me the screening room. So I'd be like, yo, you ever seen this one? And we'd go, and we became kung fu buddies. But then he had wrote the script for Kill Bill, and he gave it to me early, and I read it, and I was really impressed by the story, by the script, and by his detail. And then I just told him, you know, if you need me for any capacity to help out, I help out. And so he said, all right, you know, we'll figure it out. He said, I'm going to be shooting in China. If you want to come, you know, you could pop in. And so I popped in. And when I saw him working, it struck me that he was doing visually what I was doing with audio. You know what I mean? And so I humbly asked him, could I be a student? You know what I mean? And he agreed, yes. And I basically studied for 6 years with him. You know what I mean? And I got a composition notebook. I wrote all my notes. I write the angles down. He had some of the best people in the business working on the, you know, in front of the cameras and behind the cameras. And I was just spending a lot of time studying, right? So then I think it was around 2000, you know, about 2009, 2010. I'm talking about, I think, you know, am I ready to be a director and all that? And he just told me, yo, you need to write. Like you write songs, write. Like don't look for somebody to give you a script and all that. Write your own. And so I went and I wrote The Man with the Iron Fist. And it was okay. My first draft was okay. I brought it back, read it to him, thought it was okay. At the same time, so during this period of time, me and Eli both was students. So I was running to Eli at his house all the time. So we was like classmates.
Hold on, RZA. I don't mean to cut your wisdom, but you know, Instagram Live cuts you off after 1 hour.
Okay.
We've been talking for 1 hour. I don't really believe it. Don't feel it. Feel like 5 minutes to me. We have 1 minute left. You know, I don't know if you want to continue this. You can.
I can talk about another time. Okay. 1 minute.
Okay, but we have 1 minute left. I need to do this with you again because we got another 10 pages of questions that I got.
All right.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, as we cut off, let me just say this advice to anybody out there listening. The advice to me was to write my own story. And I'm advising anybody out there, write your own story. Whether it's book, whether it's a movie, whether it's just your family history, write your own story.
No doubt. Ladies and gentlemen, People's Party Live. This is the first time we did it. We had the RZA. Give it up for the RZA, one of the icons of the game. Brother, I love you so much.
Thank you, Tyler.
You've given us so much.